Hey guys, it's Auntie Sequoia and this is the community table where I take your pantry staples on a trip around the world. So today I have a really cool recipe I'm wicked excited about because I don't know about you, but I will buy a bunch of herbs, maybe a couple random ones, and then come the end of the week, they're sitting in the fridge and they're about to go bad and I'm like, cha-ching, cha-ching, going down the drain, right? So this is an excellent, delicious, cool recipe that will help you use up all of those herbs in the fridge so you're not wasting money and you're also getting all those vital nutrients that are in those herbs too, okay? So this is called Kuku Sabzi. It is so much fun to say. My kids love it. Kuku is K-U-K-U, and this is a Persian recipe that they make to celebrate the Persian New Year. So it's packed full of herbs, it's bright green, it's light, it's fresh, it's exciting, and it is super easy, so let's get going. Let's talk herbs, and yes, I use the H, I pronounce the H. So I've got parsley, dill, and cilantro. You can use whatever you like. You need about a bunch each. You're going to need some eggs, 5 eggs. You can use chicken. I'm using duck today because my husband's allergic to chicken eggs and I love him. You're also going to need a little bit of turmeric, a leek. You can also use an onion if you don't have one of these laying around, some dried fenugreek leaves. This is a pretty important ingredient. I love that sort of mapley warm flavor that it brings to this frittata. You can find them at Indian stores, you can find it online, and I'll try to put a link below so that you can find them. And then you're gonna need some fat. I'm using olive oil and ghee, some salt, and then lastly, this is one of my favorite parts of this recipe, is I use barberries. Barberries are a berry that's used a lot in Persian cooking. They're teeny tiny, they're sour. If you don't have them, just use some unsweetened cranberries. To kind of hold the whole thing together, you'll need a tablespoon of flour and half a teaspoon of baking powder. All right, I'm grabbing my chopping board and my knife because the first thing you're gonna do is chop all of this up. When you're doing this much chopping, you don't want your chopping board to slide around. So, quick trick, either put a wet paper towel down on your board, on your counter, or you know these little shelf liner thingies? Cut a couple of squares and then push down, and this guy's not going anywhere. Finally, chop your leek. You just want to use the white and the light green parts. A little bit of olive oil, a couple tablespoons over medium-low heat in a 10-inch non-stick skillet. The size is important. Add the leeks. Season with salt. Put a lid on it and let it cook for a few minutes until it's sort of soft and translucent and sweet. Don't let them go brown. Time to chop the herbs. Don't throw this away, save it for your bone broth. This is the old shaving parsley trick because the thicker stems are a little bitter, but the thin stems are fine. And again, save all of this for your broth. It'll be so delicious and so good for you. You can chop your herbs in a food processor, but I love chopping by hand because I just feel like the herbs maintain some of their integrity instead of becoming like a sloppy mess. But a food processor is fine. You need 1.5 cups of each herb. Let's check on those leeks. They've softened, they've browned a little, but that's okay. Let's get them out of here and onto a plate to cool.
Don't fall in love with me yet. We only recently met. True, I'm in love with you, but you might decide I'm not. Give me a week or two to go absolutely cuckoo. Then when you see your error, then you can flee in terror like everybody else does. And let me tell you this, 'cause I'm easy to get rid of, but not if you fall in love. And now that I'm on the make, and if you make a mistake, my heart will certainly break. I'll have to jump in a lake, and all my friends will blame you. There's no telling what they'll do. It's only fair to tell you I'm absolutely cuckoo.
Don't feel like you have to pick every leaf off the cilantro. You can use these stems, they're delicious.
Don't fall in love with me yet, we only recently
Well done.
met. True, I'm in love
Oh my
with
gosh.
you, but you might decide I'm not. Give me a week or two.
You guys, this kitchen smells so good right now. Just fresh and springy and alive. It's one of my favorite parts of the recipe. Okay, you can't make a kuku without cracking some eggs, so let's get cracking. I'm just lightly beating the duck eggs, just to kind of emulsify the yolk and the white. Time for the herbs. I know that doesn't seem like a lot of egg. The egg is really just a binder here. The star of this frittata, this kuku, is the herb. I've got a ½ teaspoon of baking powder. That's going to give it a little bit of lift. And a tablespoon of flour. I'm actually using gluten-free flour for bren. Works just fine. A teaspoon of kosher salt. ½ a teaspoon of beautiful turmeric. 1 tablespoon dried fenugreek leaves. You can make it without, but this is what makes it different. It gives it that je ne sais quoi. Tablespoon of barberries. If you're going to use cranberries, make sure you use the unsweetened kind. Black pepper. Stir it together. You're going to think that this isn't going to hold, but guess what, sister? It will. Oh my gosh, I nearly forgot the leeks. So those have to go in.
Last but not least.
Last but not least. Now it's done and it's ready to cook. Woo! A little bit of oil again, olive oil. And then for a little more richness, I'm using ghee, which they actually use in Persian cooking. Medium-high heat. I start with just a little, boop, spread it out. Sorry, blocking you. And it goes. Spread it out so it's nice and even. And this is why I said the size of the skillet does matter. If you use too big a skillet, you're going to get a very thin kuku, which is fine. It'll probably cook quicker. And if you use too small of a skillet, it's going to take too long to cook all the way through. Okay, lid down. Turn the heat to low and cook it for 10 minutes. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. You can see that the egg is pretty much cooked all the way through, so we're going to flip it. So, lid on, and you just, once you start, you cannot let go. So push down. Little browner than I wanted it to be, I'll be honest, but that's okay. That is okay. It should be brown. This is a little black, but that's okay. This goes straight back in so that the bottom side can get crispy. Okay. Just gonna let that cook now for a couple of minutes until we get it nice and brown down there. And to sort of help it along, what I like to do is take a little bit more ghee and put it around the perimeter here. Guys, I'm kind of really disappointed that I burnt it. This is the 4th time I've made it and I've never burnt it before. So to all my Persian brothers and sisters, I know it's not supposed to look like this and I'm sorry, but I'm not going to waste it. I bet it'll still be good. But I'm still disappointed. There we go. Make sure we can see Tom Waits. So I'm going to try to disguise the top. Time to decorate. I'm going to put some leftover herbs right on top, like that. And then I have barberries that I just cooked in a little butter and sugar. And I'm going to sprinkle those right on top. So they look like little gems over this thing. Done. Cut a a slice. You would eat this either by itself as the main, you know, with some feta and some cucumbers and radishes. This would be a side with a big piece of roasted fish. I have eaten this for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. It really is so flexible. Okay, gotta take a bite. You guys, it's so fresh and kind of enlivening, and it totally makes sense as one of those springtime Happy New Year dishes, because it does taste green and alive and like the first fresh buds of things. The sourness of those barberries kind of keeps everything in balance so that it doesn't just taste like you're eating a bunch of leaves. You know what I mean? You've got that freshness of the herbs that remind you of springtime, and then that warmth that comes from the turmeric, from the dried fenugreek, and then just a little of sour from the barberry. It is so good. Even though I burnt it, it is still good. So guys, I hope that you try it. It's Kuku Sabzi. It's fun to say. It's delicious to eat. If you make it, please take a photo, post it on Instagram, and tag me, because I love to see how these recipes turn out in your kitchen. And I will see you next time.